Is there a new hope at Star Wars? A recent screening of Godzilla Minus One at Lucasfilm indicates there might be some hope at Lucasfilm at Star Wars for an actually decent or even better yet, good film. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Let's get into this over here. This is over at thatparkplace.com. Godzilla Minus One director Takashi Yamazaki screens film at Lucasfilm after expressing desire to direct a Star Wars film. So we have this report here from X user August Ragone, not sure how to say his name, but he said, "Great Godzilla Minus One screening tonight at Lucasfilm was introduced to director Yamazaki after the Q&A. He was also gracious enough to sign my copy of the Japanese theater program. A Godzillion thanks to Ken Ibrahim and Dave Filoni." So they screened uh, Yamazaki's Godzilla Minus One film at Lucasfilm. Yamazaki was there at the screening. He did a Q and answer at Lucasfilm. So I definitely think that there is some hope here that maybe they do indeed bring Yamazaki on. And this comes a little over a month after Yamazaki told Slash Film that he wants to make a Star Wars film. This is what he told the outlet. He said, "I watched Star Wars, and that's how I ended up being a filmmaker. I'm really hoping I will get a call and they will bring me on Star Wars." So obviously, him doing a Godzilla Minus One screening isn't them actually having discussions or anything like that. We're not seeing, they're not hiring him, but it's hard not to imagine that they wouldn't maybe have some talks, have some like light conversations, maybe not some like contractual discussions, but it's hard not to see how they couldn't have maybe like, what are your ideas for Star Wars? These are some of the things that we might be looking at. What do you have in mind? Can we make it? Can we make something happen here? You have to imagine that they flew them all the way out there. That those conversations, at least maybe some light conversation was indeed happening. And I do think that is a bright spot of hope. Maybe the only spot of hope I see at the current what Lucasfilm is doing with Star Wars right now. I have zero interest in the Mandalorian and Grogu after the season 3, and I really didn't have any interest in seasons 1 and 2. To be honest, I know most people are all about season 3 ruined everything. I thought the storytelling was subpar in seasons 1 and 2 as well. Obviously, they haven't done anything on the theatrical front in a very long time. The last film they released was The Rise of Skywalker, absolutely atrocious. Their entire Disney Star Wars sequel trilogy was garbage. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series, awful, completely disrespectful to the characters, disrespectful to the canon, disrespectful to the viewers. The Ahsoka series was a joke, absolutely terrible storytelling. There were some little bright spots, but for the most part, it was absolutely awful and terrible. What else do we have? The Book of Boba Fett makes a mockery of Boba Fett's character, so that's absolutely atrocious. Even in I think it was in the Book of Boba Fett. It ruins Luke Skywalker again. It doubles down on how they treat Luke Skywalker. He's providing Grogu with this, like, you need to pick between the Jedi or the Mandalorian. There's no other options. It's like, that's ridiculous. Luke Skywalker would never give that choice. That's something that he actually refused to engage in. So clearly they don't understand what's going on with Star Wars over there. There isn't a lot of things to be excited for. They're doing the Acolyte High Republic show, which looks just absolutely terrible. All of their publishing initiatives seem to be complete and utter disasters. The writing isn't very good from what I've read, and they're always just pushing agenda in a lot of those books as well. And even the main Star Wars comics, I think, have seen their sales like massively, massively decline. People just aren't interested in the stories that they are telling. But if they do bring in Yamazaki, I would say I would be interested in this because Godzilla Minus One was such a great film, and he did it on a budget less than $15 million. He created a fantastic film with less than $15 million. He has excellent themes in that film. He obviously knows how to treat a franchise properly, and I think he did that in Godzilla Minus One. He does not make a mockery of Godzilla, but adds to the King of the Monsters legendary library. I mean, this Godzilla is terrifying. You get this picture of him like snaking through the water, eyes don't blink, and it's like, how can you not feel that fear and terror that the folks on the boat are feeling as he's hunting them down? or when he's just jumping out of the water, destroying giant Japanese cruisers and things like that. So obviously he knows how to respect these legacy franchises, and he would probably, hopefully, would do the same with Star Wars if he got the creative freedom to do that. And then, as I was saying, I think there's also really good, strong messaging in the film as well. You get the very big pro-family themes. You get a big pro-life theme where he's choosing not to commit suicide, not to embrace this idea of a kamikaze pilot. He chooses to live, to continue to live. He wants to be that father. He wants to be that husband that he wasn't really able to do. Although he was kind of fulfilling that role, but he was still warring with Godzilla. His war was still battling, and he wanted to finish that war before he could actually give all of himself to uh, I guess, like, basically his wife and their child that he had brought in to create this kind of found family. So really good themes, really good messaging in that film as well. And that's something that I don't think Star Wars has really had in a very long time. We haven't had these like really good themes and messaging in those Star Wars films. A lot of it is just absolutely garbage storytelling where they're portraying Luke Skywalker as contemplating murder, having to deconstruct the character in order to kind of rebuild him in the image that they want him to be, as Rian Johnson did in The Last Jedi. So I think if you bring in Yamazaki, clearly has a strong moral compass, probably a good conscience, so he would bring that to his films. And he also has a pedigree of being a long-term director. I mean, this guy's been on the scene for a long time over there in Japan. He did Space Battleship Yamato back in 2010. Had high praise from I think fans of the original series of that. And then he also did the Great War of Archimedes that was released back in 2019, depicting the destruction of the battleship Yamamoto during World War II. So he is familiar with doing war scenes and doing some high end visual effects stuff, but keeping it on a low budget as showcased in Godzilla Minus One. So this actually does get me excited. If indeed they do announce a film with him, I'd be interested to see what kind of story he would create, where he would go with it. I would be excited to see what his vision would be for a Star Wars film. That would pretty much be the only thing I'm really excited for coming out of Lucasfilm, because of the success of Godzilla Minus One and how great that film would be. But obviously, you still have that like in the back of your mind, right? Even though I'm like would be excited about this, it's like, well, it's still under Lucasfilm, it's still under Kathleen Kennedy. We know they're always pushing the agenda. How much of that agenda is going to be in there? How much is he going to be kind of controlled by Lucasfilm on what he can do and everything like that? So there's obviously that is part of that picture too. But I do think that this is something maybe to be optimistic about if indeed they bring him in to direct a Star Wars film and give him creative freedom to do that. But those are just kind of my thoughts on the matter. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.